Hi everyone, welcome to my first video on how I'm using Evernote in my classroom. What I'm going to show you today is just some of the Evernote Annotate features. Even if you're not a teacher, you might still learn something from what I'm about to show you. So what I've got here is a work sample from one of my students. They've already done some annotating of the pictures. They were talking about adjectives and adverbs, and then they had to write a letter from the perspective of one of the characters in the book that we're reading at class. Now, they've shared this automatically with me through a notebook that I set up at the start of the year. So once they've closed the notebook and it's saved automatically, I can see it on my own devices. So what I want to do, or what I would do normally, is I would sit with the student in front of me to do this annotating feature, because as they say, whoever does the work does the learning. So here we go. So up here you'll see an A with a circle around it. That's the annotate feature. You want to press on that. And you've got two options that come up. You can either annotate the image itself, which just saves it into this folder, or you can annotate the entire note as a PDF. And when you do this, and after you've finished annotating, it actually sets up a separate note for you from this one, so you still keep the original. In this case, I'm going to press annotate entire note as PDF. We'll just wait for it to open up. Okay, once it's open, you'll see it comes up in a different window, and on the left hand side here you've got all these different options. Now, when I'm doing these, I generally would do it as a writing conference with my student. I would go through it with this line feature here, and I can change the thickness of my line here. And what I do is I get the student to read what they've done for me, and as we go I underline anything that I think that they need to revisit. So things such as spelling errors, incorrect punctuation or missing punctuation. I'll just put a little line here like this. Okay, it's pretty simple. What we then do is I get the student to do this. I get them to fix those errors as we go. So for example, dear mum and dad. So we should have capital letters for both of those. So I'm going to press the A here, and this allows me to add text to my image. Okay, and I'm just going to type in a capital M and a capital D. And once I've clicked away, I can re-hover back over it, and I can actually pick up and drag that letter. Now I know the student could go in and edit the note themselves once we've changed it, but what I like about this is that it makes it really visual for the students, and they're able to actually get in there and move things around themselves, and they can see how things fit and how they're meant to look. Next thing here, we should have a comma. So I'm just going to delete that line. I did that, and to do that I just hover over it, press it, and press the delete button. And usually I just use this free drawing marker here for things like commas, so I'm just going to hold the mouse down and draw that there. Okay. There are other options here which you can use. Okay, if I want to draw attention to some incorrect punctuation, such as the full stop after the word Mrs. and before Granger, I can draw an arrow. Okay, I can make it shorter and a bit thinner, and I can just write some text. So I could say to them, no full stop here. Okay, so if I want to change the color of my arrow, I just press on it, press the color size here, and there we go. It's the same with text. If I want to change the color, I can do that. Some of the other options you've got shapes here. So you might say to the student, all right, I'm going to circle a sentence, and I want you to tell me, or put an ellipse around that circle, sorry, this one, and I want you to tell me how you could make that sentence a little bit more interesting. So I might just put a circle around this and get the student to add different words in. So, for example, Mrs. Granger agreed with the confirmation. Okay, I could get the student, wrong one, to put a line in, a red line, where they think they could put an extra word. So Mrs. Granger, okay, they could put a new word in there. Okay, and they might type it above it to show that they've thought about it. So Mrs. Granger reluctantly agreed with the confirmation. All right. So they're just some of the things that you can do here. When I'm finished marking a student's work, you can actually press on these stamps here. Generally, I only use the tick to say that I've checked it. If you press on it again, you can actually add little things. So if you're pointing to something in particular, you can drag that pointer around so that they know which bit they're talking about. So for this, I could say, okay, for this bit here, I'm happy with that. I'm going to write a bit of a sentence next to it. Whoops, you can also do that, but I don't need that here. Okay, you can get rid of it by pressing on one of those features. I think it's this one. There we go, you drag it in. Okay. Now I'm just going to move this to the side here, and as my comments, which I don't usually do in red, I'll just stick it back in blue. I can say, well done on your perspective letter. Some things to remember in the future are full stops, commas, and capital letters. Okay. So that's really just a basic introduction to the annotation features that Evernote has. I'm still learning a lot myself, but I'm really happy that I can share what I've learnt with other people. And if you've got any questions or feedback, please leave me a message, and I'd love to hear from you. All right, thanks, bye.